What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're going to finish off the satellite bar that I started in a previous episode. Let's get into it. So when we left off on part 1 of this build, I constructed the entire, I guess you could call it, frame of the bar. This was constructed out of 3/4 inch birch plywood, and I made it that it was keyed together so that it could be disassembled very easily. In order to secure all the individual panels together better, I utilized these toggle clamps, and in order to do so, you needed 2 parallel surfaces in order for the clamp to work. So to do this, I added a flat-laying strip of 3/4 inch birch plywood, and then on its opposite side, where 2 corners would meet, there would be a vertical portion of the same 3/4 inch plywood. You'll see what I mean in a second. In order to secure these strips, I used a combination of Type-on 3 glue, brad nails, and some pocket hole screws. So if you watched my previous video, you probably saw that I got a new brad gun. Not that it's super crucial for this project, but this gun leaves a giant dimple where it would shoot the nails in. If you intend on using a gun like this for a more finished application, I recommend buying a better gun. A lot of these budget guns do the job, but a higher end gun definitely gives you a better result. That's not true with every tool, but it's definitely true with this one. You're probably wondering how I use pocket hole screws for this application. I didn't use the pocket hole screws in a traditional sense. I ended up using a mortise bit to countersink them in so that I had a nice flat bottom hole so that the screw would reach all the way through. And because I'm a little bit crazy, I actually nailed, screwed, and glued these because I was worried about their durability. This is a pretty lengthy process, but honestly, once it got going, it was pretty much rinse and repeat. If you're building something similar to this at home, one thing to note when you're installing these strips to your panels, you want to make sure you leave a gap between them, which I used a 1/4 inch piece of plywood to space them out so that when you actually toggle the clamp closed, it sucks the panel together and not just the strips. So like I mentioned before, this is a very repetitive process, and in order to speed it up, I numbered all of the individual strips, took measurements, wrote everything out, and then cut everything all at once, almost like an assembly line, so I wasn't going back and forth from the saw to installing a piece and back to the saw and so on and so forth. This made the process much faster. I ended up going with the Type-on 3 glue because it's waterproof and this thing is going to be used outside quite a bit, and I was worried about moisture ruining standard glue. So as you can see, now we had parallel surfaces to attach our clamps to hold this whole thing together. To install these clamps, I was originally going to use these thread inserts, similar to how I built the Connect 4, but ultimately I felt normal screws would be better, and if I ever had to repair one of these screws, say a clamp ripped out or something of that nature, I could repair it with a thread insert. So because similar to the strips that I added, the clamps were going to be placed at all the same distances, I used 3 pieces of 1/8 inch plywood, effectively making a 3/8 inch piece of plywood, to use as a spacer for the hook portion of the clamp. This cut down on measuring and allowed me to install these clamps very quickly. One of the things I definitely noticed, being that I was using very small screws to put these clamps on, the impact driver might not be the best tool for it, and you have to be very careful as to not strip out the wood backer. Next, because I didn't want the plywood laying on grass or anything else when we had this bar set up outside, I added these feet that I found on Amazon. Honestly, they looked a lot nicer in the picture than they were in person, and I would probably recommend getting something different. If you make this bar a little bit shorter than the height that I made it, you could probably get some nice off-road caster wheels so you could adjust the location of it after it's all built. So because obviously you need ice at a bar, we got this stainless steel drop-in ice chest that ended up being really nice. It's typically used for outside kitchens, but it fit our application perfect. One of the nice features about it is it has a drain in the bottom that allows the water to leave as the ice melts. It also comes with a nice lid so that if you have to walk away from the bar or there's a slow moment in the bar, you could cover the ice up and prevent it from melting. One thing I noticed that turned into a, I guess, minor issue is on a really hot day when there's ice in this, even though it's insulated, the outside of this cooler chest actually forms a lot of condensation and drips on the top of the basewood below. I think what I'm going to ultimately do to correct this is add like a shoe storage bin like you would put by your front door to put your dirty shoes in, just to catch some of the water and prevent it from ruining the wood underneath. So to give the front of the bar a neat architectural look, we picked up some of these pine beadboard panels and placed it in a herringbone or a chevron style pattern. I don't know if that's the correct name for it, but we're gonna go with that. Basically what I did was I trimmed the boards to rough length after laying out the angle I wanted the pattern to be in. And then I went back and applied glue and some brad nails to hold everything together. With the pattern all complete, I put a flush trim bit in my router and trimmed off all the excess. This gave a very clean line rather than trying to cut these beadboard sections perfect every single time. Now, because the flush trim bit follows the contour of the backer panel, I had to use my track saw to trim off the excess that would prevent the keys that I made or tabs that I made from sliding in to one another. This method worked out really well. So I know you've seen me take this bar apart and put it back together multiple times now, but in order to build this little nook area on top of the bar to separate the patrons from the bartender, I wanted to get a rough height, so I reassembled the bar and then built this simple nook out of some pine boards. I decided to go with the pine because I had no plywood left and I didn't feel like buying an entire sheet for this, and I also didn't want to look at the end grain of the plywood, being that I didn't have edge banding at the time. Ultimately, I think it turned out pretty nice and it serves its purpose well. To join this all together, I just applied some glue and used pocket hole screws to secure it all together. A cool tool that I never used before was actually this, I guess, portable or more simple version of the pocket hole jig that comes with the clamp when you buy one of those kits from Craig. It made it a lot easier to work on these bigger pieces because I didn't have to pick up the board and put it in the actual benchtop type jig. With the bar fully completed, I then went around everything, literally everything, with an 1/8 inch roundover bit on my trim router. This is my first time using this trim router, and man, to do these little jobs, this makes stuff so much easier. Previously, I was using my brother's large 2¼ horsepower router to do these little roundovers, and honestly, it's a little bit too big for this type of application. It can be done if that's all you have, but these trim routers definitely make things a little bit easier. Before I got to finishing, I went around and sanded everything with 220 sandpaper on an orbital sander to get everything nice and smooth. This process felt like it went on forever, which it kind of did. It was 3 or 4 days worth of sanding, but it was worth it in the end. To keep with the colorway of our trailer, I went with the same dark walnut stain that we used on our bar tops in there, and then painted the front panel with the same gray, bare, solid deck stain that we used on the back door of our trailer. The nice thing about this is it's outdoor rated, so if it ever got wet from, say, a sprinkler or just some dew, it really doesn't affect it. For the remainder of the plywood areas, for the panels of the bar, I used the same bare deck stain in white, again, to keep with the theme of the bar. For all the other exposed wood surfaces that wouldn't be visible to the patrons, I utilized water-based polyurethane to seal everything up. To hold the nook to the top of the bar, I added some simple heavy-duty Velcro because I wanted this to be easily removable and not have any of those toggles sticking out of the top of the bar that would cause the top of the bar to get stuck or scratched when storing. Another cool feature that I added, because a lot of these parties are in remote locations at the back of a backyard or on a deck where there is limited access to power sometimes, I added these under cabinet LEDs that would be powered by a Jackery. The Jackery is essentially just a lithium battery that has an inverter that offers a 110 volt outlet. With these lights being so efficient, it uses about 10% of the power from that small Jackery over the course of 5 or 6 hours. To finish this bar off, I used a simple Home Depot bucket with a lid that I drilled a hole in with a hole saw to run the drain to collect the water from the melting ice. With all that done, check out the final results. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed building it. We've already used this bar twice for our small business, and it's been a major asset. If you guys have any questions on anything you saw, leave a comment down below. And if you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.